Welcome back to another fallacy video. My kitty has decided to sit on my lap, so enjoy the kitty cam footage. Today the fallacy we're covering is the Bandwagon Fallacy, also known as the Ad Populum Fallacy, which is when you present an idea as being true or more likely to be true because many people believe in that idea or practice the action or whatever. I hear this a lot in debates I have, and you've probably heard it too. There are over 1 billion Christians. Well, guess what? There are also over 1 billion Muslims. So now what? My favorite thing to say in response to that is, look, if you're a Christian or if you are Muslim, then you believe that your religion was true when Jesus was the only Christian, or when the apostles were the only Christians, or when Muhammad was the only person who had the truth revealed to him. So even they believe that the truth of something doesn't depend on how popular it is. Kitty, they can't see you if you're down there. Oh, she is zonked out hardcore. To be sure, with an ad populum fallacy, you don't need the majority. All you need is many, many people. And Donald Trump is the king of this fallacy. He can't, it's almost like he can't talk about anything without saying, many people are saying, or many people saw this happen, or people are telling me. Here's the thing. In a world with 8 billion humans, if you found 1 million people that all agree on something, that's a big number, but that's only 0.0125%. It's not that hard to find 1 million people that all agree on something, and then that million number does a lot of heavy lifting. But how much does it really mean? Even in the United States, 1 million people is less than 1/3 of 1%. This is why it's extremely important that when you do surveying, you get a truly random sample. In order to gauge the opinions of Americans, 1 million people is probably more than adequate, but if everybody in your sample lives in New York City, that's not going to represent the broader American public. I looked at some Pew Research for this video to try to get some information. I didn't find too many things that were interesting, but I found this pretty funny. 83% of Americans believe in a soul. I was trying to look up some religious data, but I got stuck on this. So 83% of the American public believes in a soul. That includes 91% of Catholics, which makes sense. 69% of Jews, also makes sense. There's a lot of secularism in the Jewish community. But 31% of atheists apparently believe in a soul. What are we doing? Other examples of bandwagon fallacies. I'm not going to be specific because I don't want to get hate, but pointing out TV ratings or the number of streams or time spent in the top 100 for music, that says basically nothing about how good a piece of entertainment is. Those industries are about making money, and they know how to psychologically capture an audience, which is not an artistic talent. This also goes for best-selling blank. It can be some random product. It can be, a book. It can be just about anything. I've covered some examples that may look like bandwagon fallacies. They even could be called one, but I think they'd more accurately be called something else. For example, the fake survey in the appeal to authority fallacy video I made. There was a survey, and they basically tried to email everybody in the country they could that had a bachelor's of science degree, and they asked these people what their opinion on evolution was. And, unfortunately in America, a big number of the population is really not sure or denies evolution. And this was taken as scientists disbelieve evolution. In any case, petitions, conspiracy theories, lies politicians tell their constituents that they believe in. We're spoiled for choice for examples of trying to use overwhelming numbers to persuade somebody. And it can be extremely effective. Now, where do we need to be careful with this? Well, we've already discussed this too. Scientific and academic consensus is not a bandwagon fallacy. That's because scientific and academic consensus does not rely on mere speculation and opinion. It relies on views that have been reached through rigorous study and work. And here's another reason we should be careful. There is wisdom in crowds. For example, I would say that democracy, and this can be like, general voting or, ballot initiatives too, although that can be pretty tricky because you can emotionally rile up a group of people and have them go, yeah, Brexit, for example. And then in the end, they're like, oh no, why did we do that again? Although it's flawed, I would say democracy is objectively better than top-down rule, which we call autocracy. Now, there's actually a book called The Wisdom of Crowds, which I've never read before, but I do know of some of the examples that are used in that book. So, for example, Francis Galton. He was a brilliant pioneering statistician and eugenicist. He was at a World's Fair in the 1800s. I don't remember which city it was in, but there was an ox. And if you guessed the weight of it, then you won all of the meat from that ox from the butcher. Galton looked at the data, and what he found was that the crowd average for the weight, you take all the weights that people had, and you average it together, and that was closer than any individual guess. In fact, the crowd average was off by only 1 pound. I think there is a caveat that you're supposed to remove like the few very, very highest and few very, very lowest. I think it works better if you do that. And there's probably a term for that I don't know. But this kind of thing it's been repeatedly observed. So if you're ever in a contest where it's like, guess how many jelly beans are in the jar and win a $20 gift card or something, the best strategy is to try to go last and see if they'll let you, if all the people have written down their guesses, take a picture of it, and then do the average. And you should have pretty good odds. Now, again, there is such a thing as mob mentality, and there are moral panics, and a political figure who's charismatic can rile people up, or in the aftermath of a tragedy, like the vast majority of the country supported invading Iraq after 9/11, but now the vast majority of people think that was a horrible idea. So if you want wise crowds, what is said you need a diversity of opinion. You need thinkers who are independent. They're not relying on other people to tell them what to think. You need an aggregation of opinions. You have to have trust within the system, and you need to decentralize the information. That's all for this one. I'll see you next time.